Hey, it's DIY Gemini, and today we're creating a learning/helping tower for my friend's kiddo. It's finally cooling down outside, and it's fall is coming, so I'm able to be woodworking outside again, and I'm so excited to be back to woodworking. It's been way too hot, and I'm so excited to be back outside. Okay, so like I said, we are creating a learning tower/helping tower. Basically, what it is kind of like a substool in a sense for toddlers, so that they can step up and climb into, that they can watch you do whatever it is, like washing the dishes or cooking, crafting, sewing, uh, doing laundry, whatever it is. It brings the kid to counter height so that they're able to participate with you. These are really popular, like Montessori schools and stuff, so that the kids are actively learning with you. These are really cool. You could actually purchase these online, but they are quite expensive. They are running around like $250, $200 oftentimes I see, even on Etsy, and this brand name one here. These are really nice, but $250 is a lot, you know? So we're gonna DIY one today. I was gonna freehand and create plans for myself on this one, but then I was like, you know what? For once, let me make it easier on myself and actually purchase plans and follow that. So all I have to do is trace and cut and assemble. So the plans are going to be from Jonathan Katz-Moses. He actually created this one. I'm going to link his plans in the description below if you wanted to look at it as well. The one I'm going to be creating today is actually convertible into a tabletop where the child can also sit and just like sit at a desk, basically. Our next step is going to get some lumber. So next stop is our lumber yard. I'm always going to recommend the local lumber yard over the big box stores when you can, and if you have access to them. So 3 reasons I recommend the local lumber yard over your big box store. 1, the quality of the wood is usually better than the big box store. I find them very smooth, very like straight, not warped, and a good quality. 2, the price is usually a lot better than the big box stores. For example, the plywood that I got today, I got 2 4x4s, so essentially 4x8s. Those ended up being $45-ish versus the big box stores for a 4x8 sheet was like 65 or something like that. It was insane. Like so much cheaper and better quality. The 3, and probably the best reason, is the service of the local lumberyard is so much better. I always find them so helpful and so knowledgeable of everything. If I'm unsure about something, I will ask them for a suggestion, and they would happily answer that. They even helped me like tie up the wood on top of my car since my car couldn't fit inside. So yeah, they're just so nice and so helpful. So I'm very thankful for them. But yeah, support your local lumberyard. Next stop is Rockler to get some hardware.
Before we get started, I'm going to change out the blade to a brand new 40-tooth blade so I can get the sharpest and cleanest cut. And now that that's done, we're going to make our cuts according to the plans. I've got 2 4x4 sheets at 3/4 inch thick. I only need 1 sheet, but I got a second one just in case I mess up. I'm going to cut all the rectangle shapes for now, and then I'll shape the ones that need to be shaped tomorrow. Alright, it's a new day, and it's 70 degrees today. It's beautiful. It's cloudy. It might rain. I'm hoping it won't, but at least it's a lot cooler, so I'm excited for that. We're going to cut into the details and getting it shaped today, so let's get into that. So we have 2 A pieces and 2 B pieces to cut the inside rectangles here. I had originally used a drill bit to create the holes in the corner so that the jigsaw blade can go through, but I had terrible tear out of the veneer on the other side. So since both sides are going to be visible and I'm not painting this, I do need the veneer to be pretty on both sides. So I switched to a Forstner bit and also made sure to support the bottom with a piece of scrap wood to prevent tear out, and I should have a hole like this. Okay, so look at the hole on this side. Look at the hole on this side. Beautiful. Beautiful. So that technique definitely works a lot better. Okay, time to do the rest of the holes and cut it out with our jigsaw. So let's take it into time-lapse mode. Next, I'm going to be cleaning up the edges with a pattern bit on my router. For the tabletop, we are going to find the middle and create a curve on one edge. The width of this is 14 1/4. Instead of trying to do math and trying to find half of 14 1/4, we're going to move the ruler to one side to a number that we can easily divide into two, like 15. Half of that's going to be 7.5, so that's our middle. If we want to double check that now, it should be the same on both sides. And that does check out. Great. I'm going to be using a handmade compass that I made to create a curve, and then we'll cut it with a jigsaw. Beautiful. It is day 3, and we're going to be doing a lot of sanding today. First, let's fill any voids that we got in our plywood. I'm using a mixture of wood dust from my sander and wood glue. Then we're going to be doing a lot of sanding from 180 grit to 220 grit today. I want this to be super duper smooth, and I'll be sure to break the edges as well. Okay, it is day 4, and guess what we're doing today? More sanding. Yes, we have quite a bit of sanding to do. I want to make it buttery smooth. I have never really sanded to 320 grit before because I think that's kind of excessive for most projects. 220 is where I most go to. But since it's going to be around a child, I don't want to have any splinters at all. So I'm going to make it super buttery smooth. After that, we're going to apply the hardware and then assemble it. And then we finish with a good old clear coat. And then we're done. So we're almost there. I feel like I've sanded for forever. I'm tired. I'm tired of sanding. But we're almost there. Almost there. So yeah, let's get to it. Today we're continuing to sand 220 grit using the power sander, and then we'll do 320 grit by hand for that smooth, smooth finish. Then I'll use a tack cloth to pick up all the leftover sawdust from the surfaces. Next, I'll place the template back on to punch marks where the screws will all go. I'm using a spring-loaded punch here, which I will create a dent on the wood to mark where I can put my screws. And you can kind of see them faintly here, here, and here. I'll only do that on one side of each A piece and each B piece. It's now time for assembly. So I'm going to be taking 2 B pieces and attach the tabletop. I'm going to use wood glue here and clamps to keep everything all together and square. Then I'll drill pilot holes at the marked spots and screw them in place. The screws are going to be meant to be inset into the wood so that we're going to cover the heads up with a plug later. Next, I'll attach the stretchers and then the seat. Moving on to the stool platform to the 2 A pieces. I'll then attach the stretcher and smaller stretchers to their respective places, which I've done off screen. So now we can add hardware. First, I'll line the 2 pieces so that it is flush on the stretcher side and attach the 2 hinges. I've added rubber feet to the backside of B so that when it's folded on tabletop mode, it is softer landing and it can align the bottom gap to the gap at the top. Next, let's add our latch locks. One is going to go in between the bottom edge of A and the top edge of B to lock it in stool mode. The other will go in the bottom edge where A and B meet for the tabletop mode. Unfortunately, my sides didn't exactly line up in tabletop mode, so I had to add a shim in order to place the latch. The last step for tonight is plugging on the holes for the screws. You can go with whatever you like, whether it's pine to blend it in more, or more colored ones to add some fun. I actually decided to go with this dark walnut to give a little bit of contrast to the light colored plywood. This is a 3/8 inch diameter dowel that I'm going to be cutting into 3/4 to 1 inch pieces. We're going to use some wood glue, and then I'll use my mat to put it into place. After the glue dries, we're going to use a flush trim saw or a Japanese pull saw to cut off the excess flush to the surface. Today is our last day, day 5. It is time to give several coats of finish. I debated on different finishes, say for children's furniture, from beeswax to tung oil, but they were often less durable and a need for regular refinishing and maintenance. So I'm opting for a water-based polyurethane for its durability, fast drying, and less toxic than oil-based finishes. And here is our finish helper / learning tower. This is the most square project I've ever done. Things are lined up for the most part, which is fantastic, except for that one little part, but it is buttery smooth and I'm very, very proud of it. It is very sturdy as well. I even tested it out to see if it can withstand my weight, and it definitely can. So if it can do that, it will definitely be sturdy enough for a toddler. I obviously couldn't fit to demonstrate the tabletop mode, but my mom had such a great idea to sub a teddy bear in lieu of a toddler, and it was perfect. So you can get the idea now of how this works. Thanks, Mom. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you at the next one. Bye!